Hi, and welcome to this edition of the TMC Newsroom on the road from Dallas, Texas. I'm talking now with John Dumbleton from Masergy. John, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Well, thanks, Eric. I appreciate being here.
So there's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, and in fact, a lot of use of video communications, both in the business space as well as consumer. Let's start talking a little bit about the business communications market. What are you seeing?
Well, I tell you, I mean, Masergy as a company is quite well known in the visual comm space because of the quality network that we deliver worldwide. What we're seeing now is a strong surge in demand of companies looking at visual comms to really replace travel and really drive productivity in their sales and throughout the organizations. I can tell you that personally I've got responsibility for our London office, and visual communications has become an everyday occurrence for me. Literally, I get in the morning, I'm typically on VC for 2 to 3 hours a day talking to the folks in our London office. I think what's really driving it is the end user experience. The quality's superb, and the costs have come down considerably on the hardware. And with the proper network infrastructure in place that will sustain class of service and whatnot, you get a wonderful end user experience. It's as close to lifelike as you can get. So I think businesses, the more and more that those prices come down, we'll continue to see strong interest in the visual comm space. I think one area that's particularly important and really needs to be solved, it's solved in a couple different ways today, but it's true business-to-business communications. Today most companies are looking and saying, hey, listen, if I've got 25 locations globally, connect them with visual comms, it can make a material impact on their productivity. But now we're getting questions about what about talking to my partners or my vendors or my customers? And that next piece is really what we're focused on, and quite honestly much of the industry is focused on, is how to really drive world-class business-to-business communications and maintain that end-user experience.
So to a large degree, it sounds like we're talking about really driving adoption of desktop video conferencing solutions, desktop video communication solutions, as opposed to the traditional big screen conference room solutions.
Yeah, and you see it all the way down, right? You see the large telepresence suites that are boardroom or large conference room systems, and they're wonderful, lovely. The performance is outstanding.
Sure,
it's off the hook. But yeah, more and more we're seeing visual comms, whether it's Microsoft, a Microsoft application or otherwise. What's interesting about desktop video is, there's a protocol out there now called SVC, or Scalable Video Codec, that really drives the quality for visual communications across networks that may not have 100% packet delivery, or have a little slightly different jitter sort of requirement. So it's more packet loss tolerant, that codec, and we really see that as a driver not only for some of the room systems, but clearly for the desktop as well. Almost to the point where, from a network provider perspective, we need to start thinking about how do we protect the rest of the network from, say, desktop video. So whereas traditionally we've been looking to say, all right, we've got telepresence in 25 locations, we have to make sure that telepresence, every packet gets in, 100% packet delivery in sequence with incredibly tight jitter, so you have this wonderful experience. When you start talking about desktop video now, and the prevalence, more than likely it's going to evolve and be adopted in the businesses, then how do you protect your FTP, how do you protect your web browsing and your other kind of key business applications, whether your DB2 apps or whatever, from, say, desktop video? So it's almost kind of changing it around. It's like, how do you protect the rest of the apps from the video at desktop versus what we've traditionally done, which is protect video from the rest of the applications. It's an interesting paradigm.
I'll get back to the network, but how important, how big of a factor is the hardware to the quality and to the level of adoption?
Well, there's a huge difference clearly between, say, standard def and high def. Yeah, you can certainly tell the difference between a multi-$100,000 telepresence per room deployment and, say, a desktop video deployment. But quality, I think quality is key, and I think the gaps are closing to some extent. I mean, you get pretty good quality over a whole range of products and price points, anywhere from, again, say a large telepresence deployment, a 3-screen deployment that may be several $100,000 per room, to a single codec and single camera high definition system. It really is based on the intended use of that system. But the quality gap, I think, is being compressed right now. We're seeing outstanding quality in single camera systems. Right. Absolutely.
Now, what about the network? What do you guys at Masergy do differently than some of the other network operators?
Right. Well, visual comms tends to be the point on the spear for us in terms of application. It's probably one of the most demanding applications out there, specifically when you're talking about telepresence or something that's non-SVC oriented video. What we do differently is from an SLA perspective, from a network perspective, we've got no legacy infrastructure at all. So it's all native IP MPLS. That's number one. There's no underlying ATM frame relay, no legacy technology in the network. We deliver Ethernet anywhere in the world to any location, and regardless of access methodology, whether that's TDM, Ethernet, or otherwise. We deliver an Ethernet handoff to the customer. And what we guarantee is 100% packet delivery in sequence with jitter of sub 1-2 millisecond jitter globally. That's really, if you think about video from an application perspective, those are the network performance metrics that really matter. And that's what we deliver day in and day out. We compete every day with the likes of BT, AT&T, Verizon Business, and I think we're doing an outstanding job. Visual comms, I think, is probably an area we have the most brand recognition in the industry. For Masergy, you have the most brand recognition in the enterprise space today.
What does Cisco's acquisition of Tandberg mean to the market?
I think it was a very interesting acquisition by Cisco. Clearly, they had a very nice high-end telepresence business, and they had some great products at the high end. I think it really filled a gap for them as they moved down all the way to the desktop, because Cisco had basically their desktop WebEx, and then they had very high-end telepresence. So I think it filled a nice product gap for them. I think that's a good thing overall, certainly for Cisco. I know some customers are kind of disappointed that they're going to potentially lose some choice. The Tandberg telepresence products are outstanding. The form factors are really, really nice. I have the pleasure of, at Masergy using Cisco, Tandberg, Polycom, and life-size, kind of all the different, and even some of the smaller, or more niche players, out there. But yeah, it should be interesting to see. But I think for Cisco particularly, it was a nice acquisition. It plugged in my mind, a gap in their product portfolio.
Does it put added pressure on Polycom?
I don't know about added pressure. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think Polycom's doing some great things. They got some great products out there today. I use Polycom in my office. So yeah, I don't know that it adds incremental pressure. I think it certainly makes Polycom, from an acquisition perspective, kind of being one of, you got Lifesize that was acquired by Logitech.
Right.
So I think Polycom's kind of the last standing independent. Probably pretty interesting place right there, right now for Polycom.
Well, you're right. They're doing a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you see as far as looking ahead to the future in terms of video communications?
Well, I think, to your point, I think desktop video in the business will play more and more and more. I personally think, and I kind of look at, I buy a plasma TV and stick it on the wall now at home, and how many years is it going to take for a high-definition camera to be built into that? How long is it going to be until the consumers, and do the consumers really want it? I'd love to have kind of camera and kind of video codecs built into a wall-mounted plasma or LCD television. I think my wife would feel differently. She wouldn't want to answer it all the time. But I think that ultimately that's where we're going to go, no doubt. And the business adoption is where it's starting right now.
And one last question: what about the adoption of desktop video phones? Were you seeing traction there?
Yeah, I think there's a whole suite of products out there that are very, very interesting and very attractive for kind of a desktop video integrated phone. At the same time, you just may have PC-based or Mac-based VC as well, all of which, again, we kind of play with and use in the office today. Which will win out, I can't tell you. It seems kind of natural to me that if you've got a computer with a camera that's already built into it, that would be a natural place for it. But I've seen some awesome products come out from all the different guys. I was out visiting Tandberg several months ago. They got a full suite of some outstanding desktop kind of video phone products that are very cool. So,
well, it's certainly an exciting and a growing space, and we'll certainly we're very excited to continue to follow it.
I appreciate the time. Thanks, Erik.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching this edition of TMC Net Newsroom on the Road. John, thank you.
Thank you.